Good afternoon, knife nerds. Today I am coming to you from the PDW knife maintenance mat, and I am going to take this bone stock Spyderco Paramilitary 2 in Maximet steel and turn it into something quite a bit fancier than the stock presentation of this knife. Now, this is pretty much fully bone stock, and we've got our stock pocket clip and plain gray G10 scales. It is a used Maximet knife, so it does have that natural Maximet patina going on the blade there, and I have put a really nasty wicked edge on it, so it's a working knife. And so we're gonna do some work on it and turn it into something a little bit nicer. Now, one of the greatest things about the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and the Para 3 is the aftermarket support that is available for them. You have tons of options, from scales to hardware to pocket clips to back spacers and everything in between, from companies like, Sharp Dress Knives, Rips Garage Tech, Rockscale Designs, Flytanium, and just on and on. The list goes on. There's so many, I can't even keep up with them anymore. So, whatever your ideal Spyderco PM2 is, you can probably make that happen with a little bit of effort and, of course, coinage. So, first thing we're going to do is get into the disassembly right quick here. Now, disclaimer, there is no Loctite on this knife. I have previously disassembled it, and let's get that bit out of the way. And so there is no Loctite on this knife. When you get a stock PM2, it's going to have Loctite, some on the body screws and some on the pivot. So one thing I will tell you is that a lot of people who are newer to tinkering with knives will screw up their screws, strip their screws out, damage them, because they're probably using the wrong type of Torx bits. You want Weehaw bits. This is very, very crucial to working on any knife. You want Weehaw bits. These are just the best in the business, hands down. They're German made, and they're forged steel, so they're hardened and heat treated, and they're very durable. When you have cheap hardware store bits, you're going to get cheap hardware store bit results. They're going to damage your screws, the bit's going to twist and damage, and it's just not going to be a good time. So get yourself a couple of sets, matching sets of Weehaw bits to go with whatever your choice of Torx driver is. I've got my fancy Prometheus Design Works driver here, which is freaking awesome. And then I've got my Weehaw stubby driver. And the third bit of kit that I have here is a little bit ratchet. This is called a Titan ratchet. You can see that it's a cheap ratchet. I think I bought it at AutoZone for like 10 or 15 bucks, but it works. There's no problems with it. I've had it for years. It's never broken. It just keeps working. You can get a Weehaw ratchet, which is quite a bit nicer, but you will pay quite a bit more for it. Now, when you go to remove that pivot for the first time on your brand new Spyderco PM2, what you're going to want to do is get that bit ratchet and stick it in the back side of the thing like that. This way you've got that ratchet locked into your hand, and you've got a good grip on the knife, and you can get your other bit and get in here like this. And you can, you want to heat that Torx pivot up, heat it up with a hair dryer, a heat gun, a soldering iron, whatever you have. Put some heat on that so that you're going to break that Loctite free. And then with this grip that I'm showing you with the bit ratchet and your other alternative driver, you're going to have no issues breaking that free without stripping your screws and screwing up. I see a lot of guys on YouTube, when they go to disassemble a knife that has a pivot, that's free spinning, or has two sides, and they want to, I always see them with two long drivers, trying to get in here like this, and they slip the knife goes flying off the table. They've scratched their scales, they've damaged the screws, and it's just not good. So take your bit ratchet, put it in there like so, get it into your hand, and lock it just like that. You're gonna have a good, you know, grip. I got these fingers wrapped around that knife, and it's not gonna fly out of my hands. So that's, you know, a little pro tip for you there. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get to the disassembly here. We're gonna start off on the show side of the knife. This is a T10 on the pivot screw, and I'm going to take all of my stock Spyderco hardware and put it over here to the side, because I've got brand new hardware from Knives Plus. Now this hardware from Knives Plus is a pretty good step up from the Spyderco factory hardware. Well, you're probably thinking screws are screws. Well, no, they're not. Spyderco screws are kind of, you know, they look like they were just cast. They're terrible. Okay, this is much nicer looking. You see that nice machine finish? You see how that reflects? The Torx cavity in the head of the screw is much cleaner looking, much less dumpy looking. It's just a better set of hardware, and it's probably built, you know, built tougher, hardened more than the factory screws too. So we're going to get rid of the factory hardware because it's not a very attractive hardware, and we're going to make this knife look really good. So, and the body screws are a T8, and we're just going to knock those out. 2 body screws to remove here, like so. Grab them out of the way, and I'm separating all my hardware. Boom, that scale just came off super easy. Now you've got it open. Grab on the lock, pull up, and your lock side is going to come off. And as you can see, if there's any kind of oil in there, or grease or whatever, that phosphor bronze washer is going to stay stuck to your liner. My recommendation, just leave it there unless you need to clean it if it's dirty. Mine is clean, so if it's dirty, you know, take it off, clean your washer, polish your washers, whatever you do to them. Lanyard tube, getting that out of the way. By the way, since this has been removed before, it's super easy to take off. When you get a new PM2, this is not going to be easy, okay? In fact, they make a special tool to remove the lanyard tube here, because they're press fitted into the G10 scales that come on your PM2. And there's plenty of YouTube videos around to show you how to remove that in a way that's, you know, less damaging to your knife. I'm not going to be able to show you that because I've already made mine to where I don't have to screw with that. So lanyard tube is a thing that you're going to have to deal with when you disassemble a PM2 for the first time. So taking my plain gray G10 scale, getting it out of the way, and then the blade will come off. As you can see, all my stuff is already pretty clean. And yeah, this knife has had recent maintenance, so it doesn't need a lot right now. So now we've got this lock side here. Flip it over. I'm going to get rid of this Spyderco pocket clip, and for whatever reason on mine, these screws are a T5. I don't feel like swapping the T5 into my bit driver here, so I already loosened them a little bit, so they're just finger tight, so I can just plop them out real quick on video here. I don't know why these are a T5. I thought they were normally a T6. Maybe somebody swapped that. This is a used knife that I bought on a Facebook group. So now that we've got that out of the way, speaking of Facebook groups, I know I always like to plug my groups that I'm active in on these videos, so today is no exception. This is my T8. I have a group, a very small group currently on Facebook called Knife Modding Alliance, and it's about 50 or 60 guys right now, and I recruit people that are interested in modifying stock knives. And so you know, it's a very small group, not a lot of activity right now, but I'm trying to only recruit people that show interest in modding knives. So if that is your description, if you like to modify knives, go on and you know, give it a visit. It's a pretty cool little group. We talk about, you know, acid etching, anodizing, different finishes. We talk about that stuff on there, so get on there and give it a watch. Okay, so now we've got our two standoffs, our stop pin and our main body standoff removed here, and the last thing left is the pivot barrel. So T10, we need a T10 on that pivot. Okay, and boom, that's the last piece. Now this is the one piece of hardware that I am going to keep stock, the pivot barrel. So oh, and the washers, of course. The reason that I keep the original factory pivot barrel is to keep the specs within Spyderco standards. Now, you can buy these cheap hardware kits found on eBay. You know, I'm not going to name brand names, but suffice to say there's a ton of them. There's various titanium hardware kits that you can buy on eBay, but for between $15 and $17, and they all come with a titanium pivot barrel. And I'm going to tell you straight up, just don't buy those kits. They're garbage. Okay, the kits are completely out of spec. The threads are a completely different pitch than the Spyderco factory threads. So none of the screws or hardware from those eBay kits is going to be compatible with any of your factory Spyderco hardware. Okay, and there's a lot of other little problems there. You don't want titanium for a pivot. Number one, it's too soft. It's going to mess with your action, and the pivot barrel is not going to be in spec, so you could end up with blade play, or you could end up with bad action. There's a lot of reasons. You know, just my personal advice, I like the hardware kits from Knives Plus, and that is what I have purchased to install on my PM2 here today. And so I find that they're you know, they're nicely polished. The stainless versions they have are nicely polished, or they have black stainless where you can get black hardware, and that's always awesome. And they have titanium, you know, versions too if you want, you know, blue anodized, bronze anodized, whatever. They have all of that at Knives Plus, and it's pretty affordable hardware, and it's way higher quality than that junk you're going to get on eBay, I can promise you that. And they do not send you a titanium pivot because they want you to use your factory Spyderco pivot. And it's the same thing with Flytanium. Their hardware is very similar to Knives Plus. It may even be manufactured by the same manufacturer, but Flytanium only has titanium. They don't have the stainless hardware kits like Knives Plus does. That being said, let's move this out of the way right quick, and I'm going to show you what I'll be installing today. I have got these amazing microhex titanium scales from Rip's Garage Tech, and check that out. This is some serious badassery here. Okay, so this is their microhex, and just gorgeous scales. Amazing machine work. The milling on this stuff is superb. The finish is superb. Everything I've gotten from Rip's Garage Tech has been just excellent, you know. And these are super light. They're a tad, just a tad heavier than the G10, but not by a lot. It's not going to put a lot of extra weight onto your knife, but it is going to add rigidity and make it feel like a more solid knife. So just excellent Rip's Garage Tech microhex scales. And if we get the right lighting, maybe you can see. Yep, okay, so he has milled in here RGT, made in the USA. Always nice to support a local small business guy. So Rips Garage Tech. For the clip, I have an MXG Gear deep carry titanium spoon style clip, and this would not be my first choice for this particular build that I'm doing, but it's what I have right now because Rips Garage Tech is currently out of stock on their milled titanium clips. When they come back in stock, I probably will buy a Rips Garage clip for this knife. And the other piece that I have, and this is a big one, this is from Rockscale Designs. You can see there. I just got this. It is their new Paramilitary 2 titanium backspacer with integral lanyard tube. Now, this is freaking awesome for a lot of reasons. Obviously, you know, you got your nice geared style backspacer look that it's going to add to the knife, but also the lanyard tube is actually built into it. And this part right here is threaded, so you're going to be able to eliminate that body screw right there. There's not going to be a standoff anymore because the backspacer is the standoff, and you're going to get rid of your free floating lanyard tube there and turn that all into one piece instead of 2 or 3 pieces or however many pieces it takes that the Spyderco uses from the factory. So that is an awesome thing. This is the second one that I've owned. The first one I did a modded pair 3. I'll try to roll in a picture of that and you can see the pair 3 that I modified, and did a blackened titanium finish on that pair 3, and I used the Rockscale Designs backspacer on that as well, and it was just an amazing knife. However, I did sell that knife and use the money to fund a grail that I was chasing, so I don't have it anymore. But I've got this bad boy now, and we're doing a new build, so we're going to run with that. So, let's see, no, not that side, that's the lock side. We want the non-lock side first to work with, so we're going to take that non-lock side liner, if I can get a hand on it, slap it in there, begin the reassembly. Now, I like to first put the pivot back on. So one thing about the Spyderco pivot, this only goes in one way, and you can see that little flat, I don't know if I can get it to focus, there's a little flat D-shaped side on one side of the pivot barrel. It's only on one side, and you have to drop that in on the correct side and twist it. See how it's not sitting right? Twist it until it lines up. Make sure your washer is in place. Twist until it drops in. If it ever drops in. Did I put it in there backwards? Nope, there it is. Boom. See? So you have to make sure and get that little D-shaped thing lined up correctly. Then hold on to it with your finger, flip it over, and get your brand new Knives Plus hardware and drop that in there. Now, the Knives Plus hardware is going to be fully compatible with the stock factory Spyderco pivot barrel, unlike the junk you get from eBay. Very important stuff there. Take my advice on that. Don't buy the eBay junk. And, ooh, that's a tight fit. The stop pin is a pretty snug fit inside the liner there. I had to press it in. We got the stop pin screw here, and I'm just snugging these up. I'm not putting them super tight yet because there will probably be some adjustment to get the blade centered once everything is assembled. So we're going to take our awesome Rockscale Designs backspacer. Check that out, man. All one piece. I'm sure these are probably out of stock by now and you guys are going to be cursing me. Anyways, and we're going to go ahead and put a screw into that and make sure that that is secured. T8. There it is. I'm just snugging these up. I'm not fully tightening them down yet because again I'm going to adjust at the end. Now we've got our blade ready, our backside of our scale is ready, and I want to do some lubrication, particularly on the washers and the pivot here. My choice is nano oil 10 weight for washer knives. Sometimes I'll use 85 on specific builds, but just a tiny, you just want a tiny dab. In fact, when I put that on the pivot like that, when I slide the blade on there, it's going to squeeze that down onto the washer. I don't actually need to apply it to the washer. So I want to get a little bit between the blade and the pivot and a little bit onto the washer. You don't want a ton of lube, just a tiny amount, man. That's really all you need. The nano oil is so buttery slick. I know some people like other brands, KPL, hey, whatever, float your boat, man, but nano oil is my jam. Now, I've still got my my washer here stuck to my lock side liner, and I'm gonna just a dab of nano oil there. In fact, that was a lot. I'm gonna actually remove some of that with my finger because you don't want it flowing all over everywhere that you don't need it. Now, when you place the lock liner onto there, I like to kind of push it at an angle to where that pivot is starting to line up there, and then just pull up on the lock and everything's going to pop into place. Okay, now check your show size scale while you're still holding on to the liner, because the spring tension will pop that liner back out of place if you're not holding on to it, and then just drop your scale on there like so. Okay, now I like to do the pivot screw first because that's what's going to hold everything together. I'm just snugging it up. Now look, here's the extra standoff that we eliminated by using that Rockscale Designs backspacer, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that in over here with my factory hardware just to keep track of it. And we got 2 body screws. Just snugging these up a little bit. And I will be doing Loctite on this particular build, but I'm not going to do that on camera because it's a little bit time consuming, and I don't want to waste you guys' time with stuff that you don't really need to know. Everybody knows how to use Loctite. Make sure your screws, your threads, both male and female, are all clean. Now, when you clean your stuff for Loctite, I like to use alcohol. This is the industrial grade stuff you can get on Amazon, and it's like 99% alcohol. It's serious stuff, and I will clean the threads with that, and it will remove all the oils and foreign nasty stuff from the screws so that you get a good bond with your Loctite. Okay, now just double checking my screws here, and let's see. Yep, action's good. Trying to do this. Boom, and she's dropping, and blade centering is it's a hair off. We're gonna see if we can adjust that a little bit. So first thing I want to do is install the MXG gear clip. Now this is, let me flip this around here. This is a nice little trick. I will have to switch from my T8 to a T6 for my clip screws from Knives Plus kit. Now I like to get that on there. Sometimes I'll use a middle finger, and I'm just using that finger to hold on to that screw, and then I'm going to take it and stab it into that center hole on the clip, and whoop, it all worked. It didn't work how I intended it, but it worked. If it works, it's not stupid. And just get that started. Grab your next clip screw, and again, put it on the bit, hang on to it with your finger, and stab it down into the hole. And same thing one more time. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Make sure everything is lining up. You're not cross-threading anything. This screw feels a little bit funny for some reason. Here, I think that one's... Is it hidden the back spacer? That would be an issue. I did have an issue with a previous back spacer where if the screw was long enough to go through the scale, it would actually hit against the back spacer and throw everything out of whack. So let me double check that and see if that's coming through there. Yeah, I think it might be. Flashlight here. Okay. It really looks like it clears the back spacer to me. I think we're good there. I think we're good. Maybe I just have that screw in. Maybe it's just got some funny threads on it or something. I'm gonna back it out one more time. Okay, yeah, we're good. We're good. It just felt a little funny to me. No worries, it went in. All right, so clip installed, hardware all installed, and let's just take a minute to appreciate this. I took that stock PM2 and turned it into this awesome looking thing. I've got a microfiber towel here. This is another thing I highly recommend for you guys. Microfiber towels. If you're going to clean knives, I hate that word, knives. If you're going to clean your knives, use microfiber towels. I picked these up at Home Depot. These are the ultra thick plush ones. They're like $6 for a 16 pack. And I see a lot of guys on YouTube using cotton gun barrel patches. I don't know why they're doing that. Pieces of t-shirt, whatever it is that they're using, it's leaving lint all over the knife. Don't use that. Use a good microfiber cloth to clean your knives, and you won't have a bunch of lint and garbage hanging around. Plus it cleans better because it's microfiber. So check that out. That freaking beautiful Rockscale Designs backspacer. And I got the nice polished silver to match the polished stainless hardware from Knives Plus. And you see how that light bounces off of that hardware. The factory Spyderco hardware doesn't do that. It's not as well finished as this stuff, so it's a nicer look. And as I said, the MXG clip is probably temporary on this knife, but of course it's still better than a factory clip. And so yeah, man, this is pretty epic. Now let's look at the centering issue. This really isn't bad. It's favoring this side just a tad. So when it's this minor, it's usually a pretty easy fix. I'm just gonna back off my pivot screw a little bit. Wrong bit. We need to get that T8 back in there. And I'm going to back off the stop pin screw and the one body screw so that one side is loose. And you can even see that the blade moved that way as soon as I loosened everything. So I'm going to take my thumb and just tweak that blade towards the opposite side. You know, it's favoring this side, so I'm going to tweak the blade that way while I tighten the body screws, starting at the back, stop pin screw, and then finally the pivot. Still not quite perfect, but close. Now, if I can't get it quite perfect, and I've got that pivot a little too tight this time, let's loosen out of here. If I can't get it perfect the first time, I'll do the exact same process on the back side of the knife, and that will usually give me that last little bit of adjustment that I need to get it perfectly centered. In some cases, you may not be able to perfectly center the knife. It may have come like that from the factory. It may be something that changed while you swapped parts. You are modifying it, so you can end up with, you know, things that are not going to be absolutely perfect. But this is pretty close to center for me, so I'm totally good with it. Action's awesome. I'm going to pull everything down and Loctite it once I shut this video down. Now, I don't know if I mentioned, I think I did mention my group, Knife Modding Alliance. But if you're interested in modifying knives, learning how to anodize, things like that, come on and check out the group. And other than that, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm going to get out of here, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Later.